Hello, my name is Shulamit, and I'm the creator of the MediSounds process. Every Sunday at noon, I host a Zoom meeting for us to explore wisdom teachings and experience the healing power of MediSounds. These meetings are made possible by generous donors. Please help this site thrive by liking and subscribing, and please join our newsletter at greatoctave.com to receive notices of our events. Welcome, everybody. I'm Shulamit. I sent out an email this week, the invitation to this event, which didn't so much discuss, but it noted that there is a comet, a visible comet in the sky, the tail and all. It has a very long and complicated and kind of a boring name, which I can't remember, but it is visible in the October sky. And then, of course, a couple of nights ago, which I'm sorry to say I missed, there was some activity on the sun, which created the aurora borealis to such a degree that we could see it throughout the United States, far south and to the east, much, much beyond its usual territory. In the olden times, events of the sky were considered omens, presaging events on Earth. And then, of course, we got too sophisticated for that. We're modern. We don't believe in that kind of superstition anymore. But it's as superstitious and weak as the Mayans, who, without the benefit of telescopes, developed the most sophisticated astronomical calendars, very accurate. It's as sophisticated as the indigenous tribes of the Americas that spoke to plants and were able to get information about healing attributes of plants, and were able to use that information to help heal themselves and others. And of course, today that's kind of revived. People are taking mushrooms to get out of the box of their own mental state. And pharmaceutical companies go down to these countries, I don't know so much anymore, but certainly in the past, to learn from the indigenous people which plants they should look at so that they could get the chemical compositions that they needed to create the medicines that we take today. The ancient mystics understood that the world was created through vibration. Science today, in the 20th century, 21st century, basically understand that everything is vibration. That's kind of codified in superstring theory and other work that's being done. So it seems that the world of the ancients that was inhabited by more angels and fairies and other beings from other realms was not so, I don't know, so unsophisticated and stupid and, that we're so far advanced. I am not a person who's anti-science. I want to make that very, very clear. I believe in the efficacy of science. I believe in a lot of things they say. But we must also not disregard what we know in our being, ancient instinctive survival techniques and understandings of mystical understandings of how the world, how the universe responds. So we're all facing, as we all know, global crises, environmental hostilities, war, and the usual poverties and diseases. And there are so many catastrophic things on the horizon that we're all very nervous for our future and for the future of our children. But could it be also the case that on the other side of these difficulties, on the other side of this transformation, this destruction, this chaotic, this confusing state of affairs, is actually something much better? I mean, is it possible that we are actually going to get rid of some very counterproductive behaviors. I'm talking about inside of each of us as well as on the global stage, because what's inside each of us gets projected onto the global stage. I think that is indeed possible. I'm not saying it's going to be easy, because transformations are extremely difficult on a personal level as well as on a societal or global level. They can be extremely difficult. But they may be removing or eradicating things that need to go, falsehoods, hypocrisies, lies, confusions, and some kind of underbelly of hatred that's coming out from some quarters in our society right now. Pretty frightening. We thought of ourselves as better than that. So apparently we're not better than that. But we can become better. We can become happier. I'm not necessarily talking about this from a great moral superiority standpoint. I'm saying that if you live correctly, in balance with nature and with humility, you actually have a much happier life. If your ego is always straining to be recognized, to be right, to have the only right answer, then there's no rest, there's no peace. There's always another battle to fight to prove how right you are, you know? It's hard being human, and I think we ought to remember that. It's hard to reconcile our spiritual and our physical natures and to get our emotional needs satisfied. It's quite a triumph if you can manage to get from that place of confusion, that mixture of all these opposing forces, both inside of you and outside of you, to a place where you actually get calm and peaceful and loving and sweet and not try to always correct other people. That would be very, very nice. For happiness, for the good of us all, but for happiness. So on that reminder, I want to say that the sounds that you'll hear today that you can make for yourself are very sustaining. They take you out of your fear, out of your cluttered mind, out of your efforts to understand things and to, fix things and to strive and strive and strive. For the time that you're doing it, it takes you out of it, and it brings you to a place where you feel something much more embracing and sustaining than can come out of your narrow worldview. And if you practice it over time, you just get calmer and more serene and kinder, and are able to act with more forcefulness and authority, because you're not coming from confusion, you're coming from a centeredness, from your core. And this is very important for this time we're living in. There are many different kinds of meditations. I'm sure some of you or all of you are familiar with them. They all have as their objective to calm the mind and the nervous system, and to get rid of some of the counterproductive and useless ways in which we treat ourselves. It's reminding us of things that are more important. So there was a comment by, I think it's 19th century, Johnson: the prospect of death wonderfully concentrates the mind. It's that kind of, I was about to say purity. This is not purity. It's like concentration and focus when you really are paying attention to what's going on. When you're really, when you're really here, you're paying attention. You're not distracted by this or that. You're just paying attention. Maybe it's to all the clutter in your mind. Maybe it's to some other activity where you're trying to make a good dinner or whatever, but you're paying attention. And when you're paying attention that way, like when you're in a survival mode, your mind gets clear and you're able to come to decisions and actions from your own best interests. Brings resiliency and joy. So I'm going to stop talking and proceed with the meditation. So your job is to take a moment and to think about something in your life that you really need some support with. Or you can even think about, from the point of view, if there's somebody in your life who needs support, so that we can send these sounds to them and you can receive these sounds in the place in your body and your mind that you need them. And then I'm going to start. And while I'm doing it, your job is to keep your back straight, keep your feet on the floor, and then just receive the sounds. Eyes open or closed, that's your preference. Okay. Thank you for joining me today and being part of our community. I invite you to join us every Sunday at noon Eastern Time for the full live experience. Wishing you a wonderful week, and I look forward to connecting with you soon. Please don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Visit greatoctave.com for more details about these webcasts, our newsletter, donations, and more.